Okay, we're back for a new lab. We're working on the Introduction to DNA Technology lab, and right now we're going to get ready to set up for exercise 2, DNA fingerprint analysis of a crime situation. Really, this is, in my opinion, this would just be called gel electrophoresis for DNA. And the part I'm going to set up right now is the very beginning. So if you want, go ahead, you can read through the whole scenario, the crime that supposedly took place. But what I'm working on here is if you turn to page 69, there's all these materials you need, like a 6 to 8 well horizontal gel electrophoresis apparatus. That's what this is. This is a gel electrophoresis box. This is a casting tray for making an Agarose gel. I have my Agarose here, where I'm going to show you, that's the next thing I'm going to do, is show you how to actually make the Agarose gel. You need to have a balance, which I have. I'll zoom the camera down here. You have to have, actually I'll just do it now. You have to have, and I'm just looking at the list on page 69 here and just sort of walking through. Here's a balance, I have a weigh boat, I have my Agarose spatula, I have a flask, I have a graduated cylinder. The part where it says hot plate, I'm actually going to use a microwave. That's going to be to heat up and melt the Agarose gel. And I have this stuff called TBE buffer. It's actually in this graduated cylinder. TBE buffer looks just like water, but it's actually water mixed up with lots of salts. So I'm going to go to methods. Step 1, prepare gel better matrix, aka making an Agarose gel. So this is my casting tray. I know, it looks nothing like a movie, right? So it's like a plastic little tray. It has little notches carved into it, and then it's got these black things on it. These are actually rubber stoppers. You see I can pull them on and take them off. So you have to, when you're making the gel, it's really like making jello, little jello jigglers, and you'll see that. So what you're going to have to do is mix the Agarose with this TBE buffer. We're going to heat it up in the flask, and when it's not too hot, we'll pour that liquid gelatin into the tray, and then it sits for like 20 minutes until it's solid. And at that point, we can take the stoppers of this off and then put this into here, which you'll see all of this. But I'm just going to start with, let's make the gel. So to do that, I need to have a flask, the scale, because I'm going to have to actually, you guys can see that. There's some numbers here. I'm going to have to actually weigh out some Agarose gel. And if you go to step B, it says prepare a 1.2% Agarose solution with your casting gel. I'm not going to make a 1.2% gel. I'm just going to make a 1% gel, so you can get rid of the 0.2. And it says you're supposed to weigh 0.78 grams. I'm not going to do that much. I'm only going to do 0.5 grams because this tray only holds about 50 milliliters of gel at the most, and this is 50 milliliters of buffer. So to make a 1% gel, I only need 0.5 grams of Agarose. I'm going to show you how I scoop a little bit out, scoop a little bit more, until I get to a point. Oh, I'm almost there. Oh, I'm there. Look at that. Now I'm too far. Take a little back. Take a little more back. What's that look like? That's closer. So you might be thinking, this seems awfully exact. Why is she like making it so precise? Well, you want this jello jiggler thing that you're making, you want it to be firm, but not too firm. Because the thicker it is, the higher percentage gel, the harder it will be to run your little DNA fragments through the gel. So you want it to be sort of, it's like the Goldilocks thing, right? You want it to be not too, in that case it's not too hot, not too cold, just right. But in this case you want it to be not too thick, not too thin. So that's the 0.5 grams. We're going to pour in, this is the TBE buffer that it talks about. And you'll see that this stuff looks really cloudy when I first mix it. And even if it were to dissolve, it wouldn't truly be dissolved. So what I'm going to do is take this over to the microwave. I'm going to heat it up to boiling for a little bit. And eventually when I come back, we'll pour the liquid Agarose gel into here. Okay, so this is the same flask with that had the Agarose in it earlier. You can see now it looks pretty clear if you look through it. And that's because the Agarose has melted into the hot buffer. This is pretty steamy. So now I'm going to let it just sit on the bench here for about probably 10-15 minutes until it cools off a little bit. Because if I pour this into here and it's too hot, it will actually warp the tray and break it, which is not good. I don't want to pay for a new tray. So I'm going to set timer, and then when I'm ready to pour, I'll show you what that's all about. Okay, so I got my liquid Agarose gel. It's warm, but it's not so hot that I can't lift it up to pour it. And if I can hold the flask in my hand and it's not so hot, then I know it's ready to pour. And I'm going to switch over to this camera so you can see a time lapse after I pour it, how it'll set up.